A seam clamp anchor point is a safety device that attaches to the standing seams of metal roofs, providing a secure anchorage for fall protection systems. I'd like to give you a simple example of how you can make it dynamic: the distance between the fixing screws and the width of the base plate. First, the screws must be positioned so that they are horizontally and vertically symmetrical. For a more striking representation, masking can be used, but it is not necessarily required. Create a block. Specifying a pick point for this example is also not a requirement, but may require other editing tasks. The dimension also only performs a checking function. This can be omitted. If the block authoring palettes are not open, click this button to bring up. On the palettes, select the parameter tab and then the linear parameter. This parameter should be defined as a dimension. Select it and in its properties set the base location to midpoint. The number of grips can stay 2. Then click on the stretch action in the Actions tab. First select the parameter, then select the grip, that is the area where the action should take place. Finally, select the objects that will be involved in the action. In this case, the 2 fixing screws. If you test the block now, you will see that this grip already works. So let's quickly do the same for the other grip. The yellow warning sign disappears, which means that the action has been fully assigned to the parameter. When testing the block, it can be seen that the block is well controlled with the grip. But it also works well from the Properties panel. But it has one major flaw, which is that it can be over-controlled. Back to the editor. Select the parameter and see what values can be entered in the Properties panel. You can see that there is a minimum and a maximum value, but what should they be? If we measure the distance between the possible positions of the fixing screws, we get the result, 250 and 550. So let us enter these values. If we now test the block, we can see that the fixing screws cannot be over-tightened, they can only be moved within the range of the elongated hole. Now define the width of the base plate. The dimension is not mandatory here either, it's just for better presentation. Choose a linear parameter here too. You can rename it as you like. The action in this case will also be the stretch. But now the area will be different and the 2 elongated holes as well as the base plate and the wipeout will be included in the action. Do the same for the other grip. When testing the block, you can see that the block works, but it would be good to set a limit to these values. Back to the block editor. In the Properties panel you can select the increment option, then you can specify the scale of the change, for example 5 or 10. If you enter the value limits now, then the possible positions of the grip will be indicated by grids. You can see that the width of the base plate only varies between the specified values. Other values in the Properties panel cannot change this. An additional option is the list. If you choose this option, click on the small icon and you can enter the specific values yourself. The finished block is easy to control both with grips and from the Properties panel. Thanks for watching.